When we are talking about Ayanokoji's romantic partner, somehow Ichinose is probably the last in the race. It's not because she doesn't have the actual power to run, but because after all the development she had with Ayanokoji, it become hard to see her actually manage to touch Ayanokoji's heart. The point of Ichinose's love story is how she got rejected, but refused to give up on Ayanokoji. Due to her determination, she manages to get a position that is closer than a friend, but not yet a lover. However, there is another girl that didn't do any actual effort to get Ayanokoji, but somehow succeeded in stealing his heart. If we compare them together, it's clear that the narrative of the story doesn't support Ichinose's feeling. So, let's take a look at it one by one. First, let's take a look at the reason why Ichinose could fall in love with Ayanokoji. Ichinose had been interested in Ayanokoji ever since Volume 2, where she accidentally saw Ayanokoji run to save Sakura, but the actual romance only started in Volume 9 first year arc, where Ayanokoji helped Ichinose during her lowest point to recover from her trauma. Coincidence or not, the way Ichinose falls in love with him is similar to Kei, where Ayanokoji helps them not because he actually cares, but because he needs them for his own goal. However, Kei fell in love after seeing the dark side of Ayanokoji, while Ichinose only saw Ayanokoji as a good guy. It took more than a year for Ichinose to finally realize that Ayanokoji is not as good as she thinks, but even when she realizes, it barely changes anything. Ichinose learned about Ayanokoji's dark nature in the worst way, but thanks to her overgrown love that was already at an unstoppable level, she accepted it as part of him and devoured it as they sank to the bottom of hell together. Ichinose must have realized that she is not a really good girl, so she accepted that Ayanokoji is also not the perfect prince that she wanted. However, even when Ichinose accepted to the level that connects them in the deepest part, their relationship is close and yet so far from being a lover. In Volume 2 third year arc, Ichinose admit that they are just friends, and so it's not appropriate for them to hold hand. She also made it clear that she and Ayanokoji are not dating, because she is not good enough for him. Compared to what they did on the Night of Promise, I could say that their relationship has evolved, but just backward. One of the most important things about Ichinose's love story is how she keeps getting closer no matter who Ayanokoji's girlfriend is, or whether Ayanokoji wants her or not. When she heard that Ayanokoji was already dating Kei, it only took a few volumes before she returned to the battlefield, and even when she was clearly destroyed by him, she used it as a chance to trap Ayanokoji in her room. Ichinose might be the most persistent character when it comes to love, but even if she could get 99% of boys' attention with that method, Ayanokoji is a really special case. So far we still don't have a guide on how to make Ayanokoji fall in love, but it's clear that simply having sex with him is not enough. The cliché ways such as understanding him deeply and never giving up on him is not working, but Hiyori managed to do it without she even do anything. Ayanokoji's feeling for Hiyori is a big surprise in the newest volume, but it feels a bit weird that Ichinose knew about it just a day after it happened. The newest volume made sure that Ichinose knew that Ayanokoji is looking for someone other than her, and that's why there is a high chance she will start targeting Hiyori, just like what she did with Kei. Back in Volume 9 second year arc, Ichinose purposely stood in front of Ayanokoji's room for almost an hour, resulting in a lot of students watching her waiting for Ayanokoji. For someone as popular as Ichinose, spending a lot of time in front of someone else's boyfriend will surely create a rumor. That rumor became even worse when Volume 10 second year arc was released, where Ichinose keeps targeting Kei in the special exam. Even though she had a very logical explanation for doing so, rumor will always circulate from mouth to mouth. Even though nobody could confirm it, Ichinose's actions somehow told the whole school that she was in love with Ayanokoji, and she wanted Kei to get expelled so she could have a chance to be with him. Of course it's just a rumor, but this is Ichinose we are talking about, so there is no way she didn't know her action would create that kind of rumor. Ichinose might have played it soft and silent, but she is a jealous type of woman who wants Ayanokoji for herself, and she could do something extreme to make it happen. If she eventually realizes that Ayanokoji has his eyes on Hiyori, then what she will do to her might not be so pleasant to think about. While violence is clearly out of the question, expelling someone from school is highly possible for Ichinose. I know Ichinose is not that evil to expel someone, and she was actually depressed when she indirectly helped in expelling Mizono, but just like what happened on the Night of Promise, her love for Ayanokoji transcends it all. If her jealousy gets the better of her, things might become way more interesting, because we will see Ichinose's inner conflict over whether she will prioritize her feelings for Ayanokoji or her morals to not expel anyone. It's highly possible that Ayanokoji is actually planning for that kind of scenario to happen. The way he remembered Hiyori in the middle of his conversation with Ichinose strongly suggests that he wanted Ichinose to know. And if we take a look at Ayanokoji's monologue from the newest volume, he wanted to experience being swallowed by that emotion and see how it would carry him away. He was ready to dive as deep as he could, and in Ayanokoji monologue after Ichinose leave, he is wondering what kind of effect that emotion would have on him and also on the others. Whether prosperity, ruin, or maybe something else will come as the result, he is ready to accept it. It's indeed hard to understand what Ayanokoji actually wanted to say, but it seems he wanted to experiment with his feelings toward Hiyori in all kinds of ways, including letting her go. With Ichinose targeting Hiyori, it could create a lot of conflict between Ichinose and Ryuen, so Ayanokoji could focus on Horikita if he wanted to. However, I really doubt that Ichinose will manage to expel Hiyori. It's not because Ayanokoji wouldn't let her, but somehow I have a feeling that we still hasn't seen the full picture of Hiyori. Hiyori was always written to be a smart but pacifist type, and that's why we should expect more from her. It's also worth mentioning that Hiyori is one of the best from Ryuen's class, and other than her, Ryuen has no more secret weapons that could push his class to the same level as the others. If Hiyori is gone, then it will be hard to imagine Ryuen's class could survive in the 4-class battle. Not to mention that Ayanokoji currently has a feeling for her, so she might be the key to create some kind of weakness in Ayanokoji. However, I actually hope the conflict between Ichinose and Hiyori will be enough of a trigger for Hiyori to finally do something meaningful. So far, the only thing that makes Hiyori important for the story is her connection to Ayanokoji, so she should take advantage of it even though it clearly doesn't suit her character. In the previous volume, Hiyori mentioned that she doesn't want Ryuen to use her to get more info about Ayanokoji, but in her quote from the third-year website, she said that she will handle Ayanokoji the way only she can do. There are a completely different color from both of her statements, so there must be a change that will happen in the future. Since we already got Hiyori's illustration leaked from the next volume, and the island exam always becomes the biggest exam of the year, then it's possible that the next volume will become the trigger that will change Hiyori. So far, every main character has already got a development that changed their character, so changing Hiyori's angelic personality into something darker is not hard to imagine, because Ichinose has already undergone the exact same path. Maybe Ayanokoji will expel someone from Hiyori's class in the next exam, or maybe Ichinose will be the one who does that. The expulsion of someone close to Hiyori must be enough to change her, so she would finally realize she cannot keep reading in silence. The future suddenly seems dark for Hiyori, but if we are talking about Ayanokoji, it's naive to expect everything will end up with a happy ending. The love triangle between Hiyori, Ichinose, and Ayanokoji will change her forever, so let just we pray for her safety.